Hey cuties, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, my name is Janalee. I'm a personal trainer, but I like to make videos on a bunch of different things. So go check them out, and if you have any suggestions, just leave me a comment, or you can see where to reach me at in the description as well. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. Today's video is actually going to be a little bit more personal. Because as we're about to reach 3K, which thank you so much guys, I'm so appreciative of each and every one of you. I realize that a lot of you don't know anything about my past and just how Janalee came to be Janalee pretty much. Now, if you scroll down to my first video, I have my montage of kind of like back when I used to have my eating disorder and like how I've changed from then to that first video. However, I never really went through like a struggle, an explanation of how I struggled, or just a little bit more in depth as to like what it was like to have this eating disorder or eating disorders. Now, I've been wanting to make this video for a really long time, and for some reason I just can never find the right words to say. Like, I can't explain it properly because there's so much that went on and just so many ways to explain things that like I just keep messing it up. But I'm just gonna go ahead and do the best that I can. I have found that a lot of people are very ignorant as far as like eating disorders, and so I'm gonna try to do my part pretty much to just clarify how much more serious it is than what some people think. So we're gonna start off with like the age of 5 or 6. Now that I'm recovered, I look back at just like my whole life pretty much, and I can see where little things, little comments people said here and there really did affect the way that my eating disorders just came about. I'm not going to say it was fully that caused them, because many people get picked on for different reasons and they don't develop full-on issues, but for me it was really significant. These moments were really significant. You know, my weight constantly fluctuated when I was little. I was never overweight significantly, but I was like chubby and then skinny, and like people noticed it and they felt the need to tell my parents, without offering any type of help or like any type of like, hey, you know, eating healthy is good. And like, instead of explaining things and teaching me, it was kind of just like they were making you feel bad, like, oh, you've gained some weight. And it's like, I don't know. That's why it's so important, in my opinion, to teach kids how to eat, how to properly fuel their bodies, how to exercise and play. And it's so much more than just telling them like that's a bad food or you're gaining weight, you know. Anyway, there were moments where I was like the laughing stock at a party because I had gained a few pounds. Like, it was just traumatizing moments for me, and I think like they built up little by little up to the time where I was in 5th grade. I started exercising quite a bit. I was obsessed with getting thin. I reached my goal, and now that I think about it, the way that I went about exercising at the time was really just excessive for a 5th grader. I was literally like on the bike for hours trying to lose weight, and nobody at the time told me anything. I thought it was good. I didn't recognize that it was already starting to show some like messed up behavior. Nothing really happened besides that. It wasn't until around freshman year in high school when I started to throw up whenever I ate. So it went from a few times a week to a few times a day to literally like almost all day, every day. I would even do it in school. It was disgusting. It was horrible for my body. Once I realized that I could lose weight like that, I started to stop eating as well, and I went so low that I would sometimes go days just eating like literally like 50 to 100 calories, if that. Even chewing like a corner piece of gum made me feel like I was going to gain tons of weight. It was just progressively getting worse. I started realizing that I could chew my food and then spit it out and not gain much. Then I would throw up whatever I did accidentally swallow. That was the worst cycle of it all, because I was destroying my system. Like, I would trick myself, think that I'm eating, and then my body would just like take some of it in, then I'd throw it up. My poor teeth were being destroyed. It was a bad cycle. I spent all my day doing that, and it was just horrible. Like, I was miserable. It went up to senior year, and that was the year when I started to lift. I started changing my ways. I still had that eating disorder lingering in the back of my mind, and I still like had tendencies to not eat as much as I was supposed to, but by then I was trying to recover. Throughout this time, I would also excessively exercise. I would go on Stairmaster for literally an hour and a half to 2 and burn up to like 1,000 calories sometimes, going as fast as I could. I was literally torturing myself. If I didn't get close to like 800 at least, I would be so mad. And I would just take it out on myself mentally. I would just bully myself. And mind you, I was doing all of this with like I said earlier, like 50 to 100, never past like 500 calories. I was never diagnosed by a doctor to have anorexia, bulimia, excessive exercise disorder, none of that. I know that I did have it. This isn't a situation where I'm possibly misdiagnosing myself, but I just never wanted to go to the doctor, so I constantly had to gain some weight, make my parents happy, and then go back down. And I didn't gain the weight easily. Like, it wasn't just like, okay, I'll gain some weight again. Like, it was hard as heck, but my parents would literally watch me like every single second while I was eating, and I'd have like 0 weight out. Then they'd watch me after I would eat for like hours to make sure I wasn't throwing up. And so it was just really hard to get around that. And that made my eating disorder even more difficult to some extent, because I never got to be as tiny as I wanted, and I wasn't as easily recognized as like anorexic by more people like I had wanted to at the time. So that constantly made me feel like a failure. I don't think I have any at my lowest weight, just because I lost the phone that I had at that time. Like, I cracked it and I didn't have any pictures on iCloud, so I lost everything. And what I have is pretty much like what's on the video, my video that's already up right now. Now, I'm going to get into like the mental aspect of it a little bit, because I think that's something a lot of people don't really know much about. It's so much more than just how you look. I think there are so many sick people out there with eating disorders, and I'm talking about under eating. I'm not talking about binging, because I didn't ever binge. But anyway, the thing with eating disorders is if someone sees that someone isn't deathly skinny, you don't look like a skeleton, you just assume like, oh, like they don't have anything, when really sometimes those are the most sick people, because it's mental. It's not physical, it's a mental problem. Can't stand that people don't understand that, and I think it's just the ignorance. And then again, this is why I'm making this video, because I hope to help some people who are kind of misinformed, malinformed, whatever it is, on the topic. So during the entire time that I was struggling, I literally had a voice in my head telling me, like literally a voice telling me that I was fat, that I, like, oh my gosh, your thighs are touching, oh my gosh, you seem a little bigger today. Just like little things here and there, like all day drilling at you. Like, I felt insane. I felt crazy. I wanted to cry. I wanted to scream. Like, I wanted to get out of my body. Like, you can't get out of your head. And that was the worst part of it, killing that voice. So I would wake up, if I didn't weigh myself, I would measure myself, or I would touch my thighs. Like, I would grab around my thighs and make sure that I was able to touch them and have like my fingers like this. And if they were even like this one day and I couldn't get to this, I would freak out. Oh my gosh, it was the worst. I would do that to like all of my body. I'd pinch myself constantly, like out and about. I did not care. There were forums where I would talk to other people with eating disorders, and we would kind of help each other out with like super low calorie meals, to the point where it's like unhealthy, obviously. We would help each other with just like tips on how to sneak things, how to throw up in hard places. Like, I became a master at what I was doing. These forums are so dangerous. I don't want to go too in depth about what I did. I don't want to help anybody feed their eating disorder if they're watching this. But I mean, like, if you're interested in more of my story, hit me up and I'll explain more of like in depth, I guess, but pretty much just know I did so many like fucked up things. I was so sneaky. I was so good at what I did. I mean, it wasn't really a decision, but when I really started to get into it and pour my heart and soul, like being skinny was my only goal at this time. Like I did not care about anything else. It was because I would think like, if I'm not the best at anything, my brother he like did everything really good. He was awesome at sports. He was naturally smart. Like he was just so good at everything. And like I saw other people with other talents, and then there was me, and I was like, I don't have anything that I like shine in. So what do you want to do? I wanted to be the skinniest. I wanted to be known for being the skinniest girl in the room. Like it started off with that, and then it went to like, I want to just look sick. I want to look like death. I would literally research how to make myself look sick, and I would like do makeup where like I would have my under eye bags like bigger and just like emaciate yourself. I stopped caring about getting skinny to look good, and that's what a lot of people like, where they're mistaken with eating disorders. Like I didn't even care about looking good anymore. I wanted to look bad, because in my opinion, if you still looked good, you weren't skinny enough. You had to look bad. So there came a point where people were like, oh, you don't even look good anymore, which also, how does that help you at all? If anything, that fed me more joy. Like I was like, good, I'm doing something good. So anyway, I would just try to look as bad as I could. I did not want to look like a human. I wanted to look like a skeleton. It was so fucked up. I wish I could like tell you guys specific stories, or just like put my feelings into this video so you guys see how hard it was, because just speaking about it, I think it sounds like, oh, like she struggles with her food. But no, for real, it was really, really difficult to get myself out of it. I finally just reached a point one day where I was like sick and tired of being sick and tired, pretty much. You know, with eating disorders, you have to want it. No matter what anybody else around you does, they can hospitalize you, they can force feed you. If you don't want to recover, it's mental. You are not going to recover. And so I think like first my brother was like, you know what, like if you start lifting, I think your body type would be perfect for like competing. Just give me 2 weeks to train you. If you like it, you like it. If not, I'll leave you alone. So I tried it with him and I fell in love. So then I started following girls on Instagram that lifted, and I saw that they ate a lot and looked amazing. And so I was like, okay, like it's possible, and they're healthy and they look happy. And so that's when I really started to say like, okay, I think I need to change. Finally, one day I was eating breakfast, and I'm gonna say this, and this is the last like story, last and only story I'll say, because it's so significant in my life and I remember each and every moment of it. I was in my kitchen and I'd usually have breakfast, and at this point my parents kind of like didn't watch me eat anymore. So I was standing by the kitchen counter and I was like, you know what, if you want to do it, you're gonna do it. Nobody's watching you. This is when you have to prove to yourself that you want it and you want to change. So I poured myself one serving, which is tiny, of Special K protein cereal. It was the flake kind, and I poured myself a perfect serving of almond milk as well. And I took that first bite, and like, that was it. That was the moment that started my recovery. From then on, I had so many downs, so many ups. Like I wasn't like straight on like eating, but that was the moment when I significantly made strides to quit what I was doing. I still threw up after that. I still underate many days. I still chewed and spit, but I was definitely trying. And yeah, because it's so special to me. It was literally like me picking myself up and telling myself like, you have to do this. And that's so powerful to me, and it stuck with me until now, and I know it will stick through me for the rest of my life. I would never go back on any of it. You know, after I was recovered, honestly, I would say it was like about 1.5 years to 2 of really getting my eating habits to be healthy and like normal, because I still had so many tendencies to just like, if I had a bad day, to throw up. If I had stress, like not to eat. And it was just, that was my form of self-harm, and it's addicting and it's a problem. And I always say you're not fully recovered, because to this day I still have urges sometimes to throw up, or like to just let that little voice in my head overpower me. But I'm strong enough now and I'm knowledgeable enough now to not let that happen. That's pretty much the basis of how I came to love fitness. I always say it saved my life. I saved my life, but fitness just wrapped its arms around me and made me feel at home. A lot of girls do switch from anorexia, bulimia, like any eating disorder, to veganism, vegetarianism, fitness, and they do it unhealthily, and they don't even recognize it or realize it, but they don't even recover. You know, they still continue those unhealthy habits and thoughts. Making that transition was something I knew I had to be careful about, and that's why I'm so proud of myself, because I was truly able to recover. Like now I am, like I don't have fear foods. I don't have times where like even if my mind wants to go back to something, a tendency that it used to do, like I'm strong enough to beat that now. And I didn't switch one disorder for another one. I found a way to do everything healthily, and I am so proud of myself for that, because like I said, I see so many people switch one for the other. And so if you're watching this and you do have an eating disorder, or you're in the process of recovering, be very mindful and careful with that, and please reach out to me. I have a hard time getting back to some people sometimes, but if I see your message and it has to do with this, I will prioritize you 100%. My calling in life is to help people with this. I know it for a fact, and I would be so happy if I could help at least one person with this video, or just by talking to you. Yeah, I think I'm gonna make another video talking about like how I beat my eating disorder, kind of, and just like tricks and like just ways to overcome it for people that do watch this and want help. I don't think I have a big following of people trying to recover, but I know that I can reach people that aren't following me and that will see the video. So anyway, that is it for right now. Thank you so much again. I love you guys a ton, and I will see you on my next video.